This has been the year of frozen pizza and box wine. So welcome to Will They Make It?
I'm Jen and this is Blair.
Hi there. So today we're going to talk about bootstrapping and what that really means to an entrepreneur. And we, I think, are taking it as far a concept as probably anybody could possibly imagine.
We are bootstrapping this one.
So what's that mean? So it's, in general, it's building a business with very little outside money or no outside money in our case, and having no investors and no debt.
Now you may be wondering, so why aren't there any investors? Because we listen to other podcasts and you hear the stories. They're going through their pitches, they're going through their various funding rounds.
And that takes a lot of time just in itself.
It takes a lot of time in and of itself. And there are some products that's the only way you'd ever get them off the ground. But here's the thing, in almost all of the stories you hear of successful people who've made it, almost consistently the one regret that they said if they could go back and do over, it would be not to take investor money. And part of the one fundamental thing is as soon as you bring investors, you lose control of the business. And it is not your business entirely anymore because it's their money, not yours.
And a big reason we wanted to get into a product-based business and this type of business to consumer is that we wanted to have control and artistic license with it and stuff. That was really important to us. So that has caused us to really preserve our precious capital for marketing and for merchandising and those kind of things, not for hiring out a lot of other things.
Yeah, and it means that actually we're doing everything ourselves right now. We do outsource a few things where we know we just don't have the capital. And we don't have the talent. We don't have the talent to do that. But I mean, that means we're doing the marketing, we're doing the PR, the finances, the accounting, even down to redoing the commercial floor in the space.
If this doesn't work out, we can always go into commercial flooring.
But as Blair said, it is to preserve the capital and such. And we are continuous learners. So part of it was the fun. I mean, I would say if you're going to be a bootstrapper and you're going to be an entrepreneur, you better be a person who enjoys learning new things because you're going to be doing a lot.
And doing a lot of variety too.
Yeah, you're doing a lot of variety.
We just every hour is something different. I mean, we do all the design work for the products. And that means working with manufacturers, it means writing the specifications, it means figuring out the cord patterns, it means creating the artwork for the t-shirts, just that whole creative, and that's a lot of fun for us. But then there's a lot of other things that we do that we don't outsource that's maybe not as much fun. And so, you get some of those things.
Well, I do the accounting, I do the finances, payroll.
Oh, joy.
Oh, joy. But, here at the end of the day, though, what I'd say is it is that skill building. And then long term, when you do have an established business, you have worked almost every single job or at least have an idea what goes into it. And it makes you a much more effective leader and then manager of staff as you have folks in the business. Basically, somebody can't pull the wool over your eyes because you're like, I may not be the best at that, but I have done it, so I know basics of what's going into that task.
Yeah, and it's allowing us to, because we're doing every job and every work component of this, we know how to write up the ops manuals, we know how to write up the employee, job descriptions and stuff like that, and they're much more legitimate and real at that point too.
Now, I will tell you though, this also includes that we're running the store 73 hours a week. And I'm exhausted.
We shoot this early in the day when we've had our first cup of coffee, because if we shot it in the evenings, we'd be zombies.
We'd be zombies. But Blair, there is a thing of, we are reaching that crux of maximizing how much we can do versus the cost. Because there are some things strategically that we are missing on.
We're paying the price already, and it's that whole balance of revenue versus the cost. And, I think, if we don't hire some employees in the next month, we are really going to stifle ourselves from the, like you say, the strategic work, the design work, where we really just need to turn over the store. Because you have to design and
be ahead, on the thing, and that's, so if we don't get ahead of that, then you're just going to make it through holidays, but then you're not going to have anything running forward. Now, Blair, there was a thing about, let's talk about, there is, when you're bootstrapping and it is your own money, there is that thing of how long can you keep going before you run out of money?
Yeah, and finding that balance is what I think a lot of entrepreneurs face, and we are certainly hitting that every day ourselves. Is how much do you merchandise, how much do you, when do you hire those employees, when can you afford to do that versus running out of money. And when we say running out of money, it's not like we'll cease operations on Wednesday kind of stuff. It's no, you're going to be dipping into savings, You're going to not make that t-shirt order. You're not going to order those, tripod parts and stuff like that. And then you're going to hit the holiday sales and not have enough inventory. And then you're missing those opportunities.
Well, then you're leaving cash on the table, like they used to say, is now you're not taking opportunity of that big spend. And part of this too, really quickly, if you're getting into owning your own business and being an entrepreneur, I mean, when you do have to still have a roof over your head, so part of like that running out of money, and why we joked about the box wine and the frozen pizzas and such, is the fact that we are down to Zippo personal expenses that aren't necessary and critical. So there is no extra fun money, anything like that. I mean, and if you aren't willing to do that, this is not the business for you. This is not the journey for you.
I mean, I haven't shopped at Aldi's since I was in college, and now I'm an absolute regular there. And it's great. It's no problem at all.
Yeah. The other thing too that we're struggling with, that you can recognize from bootstrapping, is doing too much of the low value work. And that's what I was talking about, not doing enough strategic, is when you're running a store 23 hours a day, 73 hours a week, 23 hours a day, something feels like it. And then you're in the weeds of accounting and stuff. That is actually, at the long time, some low value work that at some point you are going to have to outsource that to be successful.
Yeah, because you're not doing the high value work and you're not generating value in the business, and therefore you'll just go stagnant. Yep. And that's a real risk for us.
I would still say, though, recommend, and the people who've gone through it, if you're going to do it, bootstrapping's the way to go. No debt, bootstrapping, and when you face the recessions, you don't have the debt hanging on the head, because the truth of the matter is power's not in the money, power's in the debt. And if you don't have the debt hanging over your head, it does make a big difference in the decision making.
Yeah, I have a lot more freedom and stuff. So, when you think about bootstrapping, you think about, what are your talents that you can apply and not just take the easy way out by hiring it out, and really be thoughtful about that. And, and be judicious with where you really can't do the work. So that's another aspect.
There are a couple of things we outsourced because we just knew we couldn't do it. Yeah,
so spending money wisely is really the key thing in business. And, I think the other takeaway for you is, you can create estimates, because we have estimates and details in our business plan.
We do.
They always turn out different, and the build out, we had a pretty conservative build out plan for the space, and we still overshot that budget by about 30-40%.
No, it wasn't 40, but it was 25-30%.
Yeah. And we did, and there was things we were going to outsource that we ended up not outsourcing. Yeah. So, that's a key thing.
That is a key thing. Hey, well, thank you. We look forward to your questions. And how can they send questions to us?
Sure. You can ask your questions to us by going to our website, willtheymakeit.com, and look for the button that says submit your questions. And we'll be looking for you to submit a voice memo or a short video, because we'd love to actually have you ask your question on our podcast.
Yeah, and now it's time for this week's question.
This is Jim at Tiki Botanicals in Columbus, Ohio. We're a handmade bath and beauty care products retailer, and I just watched your episode about being pointy. And we have a lot of concerns. I mean, we do a much broader selection, and we just really want to drive customers, get as many customers through the doors as possible. And we always went under the premise that kind of broader was better versus niche. Wanted to get your thoughts on just niche and how you think that may drive business better than what we're doing on that broad selection basis.
So that was the most pleasant way to say that I totally disagree with you, Blair. Now, what I would say, Jim, is that I suspect that you're already, not going after the middle like you think you are, because when I look at your social media, the Instagram page for Tiki Botanicals, I see a beautiful store. I see handmade products made out of fine quality ingredients, beautifully presented. I also know, because I went to school in Columbus, I know your location, German Village, is like that quaint, quintessential walking community with nice little boutiques and stuff. So I would suggest that you're already, already segmenting your way out of like the bargain shoppers and such like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you've gone through the store and stuff, your shop looks great, the packaging, the look and feel, actually the way that you're describing the products, I would agree, you're not going after a middle market. Everything that you're doing is conveying a second level.
How many times do they have somebody come in like, do you have a 99-cent bar of soap?
Yeah, no, I don't think
I just don't see that happening.
I don't think so. So I do think you're actually being more pointy than you think.
Yeah, and I think the reasons for being pointy, though, and I think you may be doing some of this, and there's still some other things to consider, is you want to be able to be remarkable, have people talk about your shop, talk about your product, have ideally the news media, the newspapers, the television, radio stations specifications have talking points. And some ideas that just come to my mind when I look at what you're doing is, maybe specializing in manly scents, having that be kind of a thing, and having some just really cool, compelling examples of that. I know that you do a candle that's a Scotch whiskey scent, and and I would maybe have a whole series of that kind of whiskey Scotch scented candle scenario, something like that.
Thursday night poker candle series.
Yeah, a whole new market for you, man. That one's for free. I think the other thought to the segment is maybe doing shampoos for people with medical conditions or something, and you could actually sell that through other channels that doesn't even affect your store.
Because anybody, if you are racing for the middle, there's no way a small business owner is going to be able to compete against the scale of the large brands, of the very large brands. There's just no way. You can never get the volume. And so being that small, being that pointy is actually what gives you the competitive advantage. That is also what I was going to say is your being pointy is what will allow you to have in the marketing pitch, the PR angle. A soap, really at the end of the day, soap is soap is soap. Okay, well, your quality components is the one differentiate that makes your soap different than other soaps. But then it's also going to be that storytelling, that marketing, the value add behind it.
Yep. So cool. Well, thanks for your question, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
That's a wrap for this episode of Will They Make It?
Yep. We'd like to thank our producer, Claire Costello.
Claire, you're great.
Yeah, great, Claire. Hey, thanks for watching, everybody.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.